Hello and welcome to The Week in Gaming. My name is Simon Miller and you are indeed listening to my video game related podcast, which is a bit like a monster under your bed. Sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. But look, we're heading into 2020. We're heading into a new decade. We are slowly rocking and rolling with this again, so I promise to make more of an effort as we move into the future. If you're listening to this on day one, it is the general election here in the UK. That's all I'm going to say about it, but I've mentioned it. I don't talk about politics much because it just becomes a dumpster fire really quickly of people just shouting at each other, and that's not how I want to live my life. But it is important that you vote, so get out there and do it. And even if you choose to abstain, look, that's your right as a human being too. Moving on from that, given that it is the end of the year, we are going to run down our 10 game. Well, not even 10. I didn't have 10. This is the problem. This is something else we're going to talk about. My point being is that I have reached out to my patrons, patreon.com/Simon Miller 316. If you want to give me a Christmas gift, you can sign up to my Patreon and you can come guest on the show if you want. All the details are up there on the webpage. But my man Jason is back in the first time in a while. Jason, how are you doing today?
I'm very good, Simon. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm good. It's kind of funny. When we had a quick chat before we began, I said, let's do our games of the year. And I think you said something that was very poignant. And you went, well, I actually haven't played too many new games in 2019. And I tell you, I was going to do top 10. I got to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got to 8. And then I was like, there's no other games. Like, I'm not saying it's been a bad year for games, but I'm saying in comparison to maybe other years, for me personally, and what I like and where my tastes head, there hasn't really been any bangers. Like, even the ones that I do have, which we'll get into in just 1 second, I wouldn't call any of them a 10 out of 10 experience. I wouldn't call any of them life-changing, life-affirming. And I know that when we talk about yours, a lot of the stuff that you've been playing actually didn't even come out this year.
Yeah, pretty much. The thing is, I've got games from this year that are still sealed on my shelf that I've not even got around to. For example, Borderlands 3 looked fantastic, got really good reviews. I bought it about 3 months ago or whenever it came out. Yeah, still sealed on my shelf, just sitting there going, play me, play me. I'm like,
yeah, no, totally
don't
get
have
it.
Time,
Dude.
sorry.
That's the problem though, right? We've all got our piles of shame, and I mean, Borderlands never really sunk its teeth into me, but I bet there's games that I haven't even thought about where I'm like, man, I should have played that. Why didn't I play that? And this is also the year where there's only one mobile game on my list, but I did play more mobile games this year. I mean, nothing brand new that came out, but I did find myself going down that path. I don't even know why. It's just one of those things that happen. Maybe like you said, because you're so busy and your phone's always in your hand, it's just easier to pick up and go.
I have 2 mobile games. One came out this year, one did not. One's been out for about 5 years, I think. I'm not sure.
I think that's all right. People will disagree, but the way I look at it is it's our best games of the year. And just because it did, I mean, all of mine came out in 2019, but I don't think there's a problem if you don't do that, because it's still your game of the year, right? It just happened to come out in a different year. I will say honorable mentions to Control. I saw everybody talking about Control, which is obviously Remedy's game. I haven't played it, so I can't comment on it. Have you played it, man? Because everyone says it's amazing.
I'm currently playing it, and it is it's.
Oh, there we go. Well, let's start there.
Because I feel like I've played the two. Like I played Jedi and I played Control afterwards. Like directly afterwards, I put that in. And I'm feeling like I've played the 2 best games of the year back to back. It's crazy. I've not finished Control yet. I'm still trying to get through it as much as I can when I'm like got the time to do so. But it's just got all these elements of things that come to. You don't think they're going to work together, but they do. I don't know whether it's a Remedy thing, because Remedy are very good at bringing new kind of mechanics into gaming and pushing that forward. Like they brought us like Max Payne, Alan Wake. That Xbox One exclusive, I can't think of the name of.
I know what you mean. I can see it in my head, but I can't remember what the hell it's called. I know what you mean. It's fine. I know what you mean.
Yeah. But I would go out on a limb to say this is their best game.
Everyone says that, man. Honestly, when I was doing my research earlier to make sure I hadn't forgotten everything, every list, Control, which is weird because Remedy's got a very odd relationship, I find, with games. Like some people, like you said, find them incredibly forward-thinking and revolutionary, I could say. But then some games they've released have come out and been absolutely panned. And people have said, no, this wasn't what I was expecting at all. So it sounds like Control is something I've got to get around to. I'll switch the order around a little bit. Like if we were doing this in order, just so people know, this would be my number 5. But you mentioned Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, so we may as well just wonderfully transition right into that. Dude, I'll let you go first. I've probably played now, I'm probably about 60 to 70% in, because I know you're not allowed to talk about a game unless you finished it. I disagree with that, but hey, I understand how the world works. It's the best single-player Star Wars game I have played for a very, very long time. I did a few videos on my own YouTube channel, which you can find. Just search for Simon Miller, I should say. I wasn't massively overwhelmed with the ties into Dark Souls, but they kind of got around it by allowing me to change the difficulty, and that is something that I hope the Dark Souls games do in the future. I know that will burn the internet to the ground, but I think as long as it's still hard, right, what difference does it make? But that's not something we need to talk about. But you tell me, man, what is it about Star Wars that got into yours as well?
I just found myself completely captivated with everything about it. The characters, the story it was trying to tell, the mechanics. I know that it has a lot of mechanics taken from other games. Like you said, Dark Souls. It feels a bit of Uncharted, Tomb Raider-esque with its kind of like, hell, you go into literal tombs in the game, so there's that.
And you have all those reveals as well, right? The Horizon reveals, which is so much like those games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just think like it brings all these elements from other games and just I don't want to say perfect them because it doesn't, but it just balances them out to make it into just. I didn't want to put the controller down there. I was just like, right, oh, awesome! I've unlocked this thing. Oh, I want to see what else I can find. Oh, I found this chest. Oh, I've got this little piece of cosmetic. Oh, cool. What else can I find? It just made you. It gave you the drive to explore those planets you go onto, and I'm still trying to clean up the trophies. So I'm just like, that platinum trophy on PlayStation is doable, and I'm going to do it because I want to. And you want games to do that. If they've got extra things you can do, that's what I love when the game doesn't throw it in your face, but goes, oh, there's this like these other little bits you can do to get trophies.
Yeah,
I want to do that because I've beat the game. I love it to pieces. I want to play more.
And I think that's a testament to the game, right? Like that's what you should do. The achievements and trophies should always be there for you to mop up because they act as side quests or mini missions that allow you to go back into a world that story wise you're done with, and that's a testament to the game. Like, I don't mind them borrowing elements from other titles. I really don't. Like the thing that I always used to go back to was Gears of War's active reload. I could never believe that more developers didn't take that on because I thought it was so good, and it never really happened. But there's nothing wrong with doing it if it adds to your game. And as you have just, well pointed out, that's what they did with this. And, it certainly, it doesn't hurt. Well, it doesn't hurt. It helps massively that it's the Star Wars universe. So they have evocative music and they have evocative weaponry and they can rely on parts of the story and the narrative that we all love. And it makes you giggle because we all love Star Wars from when we were a kid. But given that it also feels like a up-to-date modern video game, that kind of allows it to sit alongside the Dark Souls, the Tomb Raiders, and the Uncharted. But again, you're a Jedi, and it's like the Batman games. Do Batman games get somewhat of a pass because you're Batman? Yes, because you're Batman, and Batman comes with a whole host of memories and nostalgia that other games just can't have. And I think EA knew that. They were like, we've got to make sure that, not necessarily if you're a non-Star Wars fan, but if you are just a more general video game fan, that we tick those boxes, but that we also dive into this world that has been created now for 30, 40 years. And I think they balance that perfectly. I really, really do. And I think I wouldn't say it's so good, but I think it is of a level that we can even move past all the Battlefront 2 controversy and hope that EA has better plans for the franchise going forward.
Oh, definitely. I do think this is like a testing ground for EA, and I do think they've because they bought Respawn Entertainment after the first Titanfall came out, and they kind of sent Titanfall 2 out to die, which was an awful decision because that game's got one of the most underrated single player campaigns ever. Anyway, I digress. And yeah, with the whole Star Wars Battlefront 2 controversy and all that, it feels like this is I think they're trying to appease the fans and to not have Disney come down on them and going, yeah, give us that back now. You're ruining it. And I think they've just given Respawn Entertainment free reign to just make a really good Star Wars game. And in my opinion, Respawn haven't made a bad game yet either.
No, that's fair. I'd agree with that. I'd absolutely agree with that. I think that they're a good studio, probably, which is why they got, they got the nod here. Right, I'll segue into my actual list now. Again, that would have fallen at number 5. Let me check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not a real list. I wouldn't say these are my best, but I know people like countdown. So again, I've got 8 of them. We've done 1. 8 goes in straight into my mobile game. So hopefully, Jason, you can throw in a mobile game there as well. If this may even be in your list, it's Mario Kart World Tour, which a lot of people have given a hard time to, and I understand why, because it's very you know, it's very aimed at microtransactions and getting you to spend money. But I've been playing that game now for a good few months. I downloaded it for free and I've spent £0, 0 pence. I still enjoy it massively. How they've managed to get sort of the Mario Kart mechanics to work when you're just using your thumb, I don't know. It feels like death at first. You're like, I cannot do this. But you do learn it and you do get better at it. And the fact that you have original courses in there and the music, and honestly, I don't like all the microtransactions. I do feel like they get in the way. But in terms of my enjoyment and what I'm able to get out of it, it's honestly, I mean, when did it come out? I should have gotten a release date. It feels like it came out in the summer. But it's it came out September, so for the last 4 months or so I've got so much enjoyment out of that, whether I'm just on a train, a plane, a car. I love it. I really, really do love it, and I think it's I am obsessed with Mario Kart, but still it is I'm a big fan.
I played a little bit of that game. I was just, because it's Nintendo on mobile, you're going to be intrigued, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I as soon when they first put out Super Mario Run, and I was intrigued with just like, you know, the one-handedness where all you're doing is jumping. I think they've kind of understood the mobile market and kind of like the actual device, the system, how to make a game on mobile without making games on mobiles. Like, they've actually knew what to do before doing it, which is weird. That's what I think. And I think from what I can tell, every game they've put out on mobile has been well made. I've not played all of them, but they seem like what's the Fire Emblem one that came out?
Yeah, I haven't played that one, but that was in a lot of people's best of lists as well. A lot of people did like that. I think the best thing about Mario Kart Run to Mario Kart Tour is that Mario Kart Run I enjoyed, and I thought it was a smart game, but I felt myself done with it in a couple of weeks. I didn't see myself going back to it a lot. But again, with Mario Kart, I have, and maybe it's just because I prefer Mario Kart games over standard Mario games. I still love them, obviously.
Yeah.
But it did feel like an evolution of what they were trying to do. And you're right, there is an intrigue there when Nintendo make mobile games, because it feels so brand new. And out of the three that we've got, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo have been around the longest. And when they do enter a quirky world, usually they smash it rather than don't. And I think there's issues with it, and everybody needs to get the microtransactions thing down better. But I like it. I like it as a video game. I really, really do. And I'll keep playing it into 2020. It's just fun. And I think sometimes we forget that's what games are meant to be. Dude, give me one of your mobile games.
It's Call of Duty Mobile.
Interesting, dude. I mean, I got a friend that works on, obviously a little bit biased maybe, but I got a friend that works on that, and he said when he saw it in development, like, this is people are going to be surprised by this. So yeah, tell me about it. I've stopped playing it for the time being. It's still installed on my phone, but my cousin was like, dude, you need to check out this Call of Duty game on mobile. And I was like, mobile, really? He's like, seriously, it's actually pretty good. So I was like, okay. And I'm really surprised how well, because I don't like touchscreen. That's what puts me off mobile phones. But somehow they've kind of made it really work really well. And I've had, on my lunch break, I'll just be busting on it, and my friends would be like, you playing Call of Duty on your phone? I was like, yeah, it's actually really good. So I was one of those surprised people that actually quite enjoy it and think it's probably one of the better mobile games to come out. How does it work? Like, is it a shooter? Is it something else? Have they got a spin? I don't really get what it is.
It's like a modern Call of Duty, but on mobile. So it's first person. You go online like normal. You have all the classic maps like Firing Range, Nuketown, but it's just touchscreen.
And it doesn't feel awkward or weird or.
Obviously, there's going to be a learning curve to begin with, but once you get the hang of it, it's really fun.
I'm intrigued. So, yeah. No, I'm intrigued. Maybe it's something I'll look into, dude. Just simply because I don't have any other mobile games. What's your other mobile game, dude? We can go from there.
Oh, this one came out a long time ago. It's Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle.
Oh, dude, I've never even heard about that. Tell me, give me the deets.
It's a weird one. It's like a card collecting game, and then you'd use those cards to simulate a fight. Like you fight an enemy, but you your cards got like stats like attack, defense, all that kind of stuff.
I think that's smart when mobile games do that. Sort of, make it work for the device as opposed to trying to squeeze something else onto it. Yeah,
I've kind of slowed down playing it now, because there's one little thing that really winds me up about that game. If you change phones, it doesn't retain your progress.
Oh, that sucks. So yeah.
So I think I must have spent about £80 into it when I first got it on one of my older phones about 2 years ago. When I first got it and got kind of addicted to it, I must admit I got addicted and put money in to get cards. Put about £80 to £100 in, and then I got a new phone. And it was just like, you got to start from the beginning. Yay! that made me angry. So, but now I don't pay any money. I just grind for the gems to unlock cards.
And I think that's half the battle with mobile games. If you can make it fun, I don't mind playing it for that kind of stuff. I mean, there is a bit of cynicism in there because I understand why you're doing it, but I like it, right? You know, I like the fact having these well-rounded smart experiences on my phone because I do a lot of traveling and it just makes the time go faster, which I know is the most obvious thing to say when it comes to mobile games, but it's true. That's how I feel about it. And I feel in 2019, even though the one you're talking about is a bit older, I feel like from that to now, we're getting better at this stuff. Because I remember some of the old mobile phone games. They were dreadful. Like you'd buy like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for a tenner. And you're like, this is crap. This is really crap. My number 7, I should say, was the Resident Evil 2 remake. I wasn't ever a big Resident Evil fan back in the day, but I just respect Capcom so much for not only creating these things that are so dedicated to the fans and give something so back, but they're so well realized. Like, they're not rush jobs. They're not done to make a quick buck. You know, they are really, really thought to the point everyone is so excited about this Resident Evil 3 thing now. And it was the same with the original Resident Evil. It was the same with this one. The best thing about it, I think Capcom know this. If you've never played one of these games, you can start again. You can start with these. They don't feel out of place. They feel like they fit perfectly in on your PS4 and Xbox One. They're more than just love letters. They are proper going back to, you know, the base code or whatever and making sure they live up to 2019 expectations. It's just, you know, I remember all the moans about remakes and remasters. Everyone was mad. Capcom was showing the world how to do it, and Resident Evil 2 is amazing. You made a funny noise there when I said Resident Evil 3. I'm intrigued now, man.
Oh, man. I'm a massive Resident Evil fan, and I've never been so excited to be a Resident Evil fan. Like since 7 came out, they've smashed it. Capcom have just smashed it. They've done so well with the franchise, and to as well, like I will echo your sentiments on Resident Evil 2 Remake. It is like a survival horror masterpiece in my mind. Like, it's so good. And for them to turn around Resident Evil 3 this quickly after Resident Evil 2 Remake, that's a testament to the talent they have got on their teams.
Yeah, and I think they know as well, right? They're putting these things into development, I assume, when the other one is, you know, nearing the end, because they've got a process, they know what to do, and the reason they get away with it again is because of the level of quality that's coming out the other side. You can't be mad at it. Like, I don't even like Resident. I don't not like it, but I was never a Resident Evil fan as a kid. But I'm so impressed with these games. I think they're excellent. I think they're so well done. And again, if you've never played Resident Evil, and we're getting into the Christmas period, where you may have some time off and you're looking for something different, check them out. I bet you'll be surprised. And they're also very good at catching up with the story and what's going on. I mean, the Resident Evil story by the last game's nonsense anyway, but you'll get an idea. It's like I said, I'm saying this from a guy that's not even a massive fan of that game, but it's just so well done, done.
I'm just gonna say one thing because I'm a giant nerd for this franchise. The fact of the matter is that I'm gonna have every Resident Evil game ever made, not ever made, but you know what I mean, every kind of numbered Resident Evil game on one system by April next year is crazy. So on PS4, you can get Resident Evil 1 Remake and Resident Evil 0 as an Origins collection on PS4 physically, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 4, 5, 6, and 7, and now 3 is coming out. So it's going to be all of them on one system. And that just makes me happy.
And there you go, man. There's that magic word again that we sometimes forget about. Right, dude, I'll pass it over to you. What's your next one?
The only thing that comes in my mind right now is World War Z, which took me by surprise. Really fun zombie horde game. Just really fun. Like, it has its problems. It had its problems on launch. It was a bit glitchy, a bit crashy, but once they tidied that up, it was just a really fun game. About 6 chapters to play through single player, and it had a really fun multiplayer as well, where you could use the zombies against the enemy players and whatnot. It was just that's the key word with that game, fun. It was nothing to write home about. It wasn't like the greatest game ever made. It was just a fun little game that had the name of a film that was 6 years old. Don't think that helped you that much. But maybe it did help it. Maybe it was like, oh, it's a World War Z game. I'll buy that. Maybe it did help it. I don't know. But
Is it like
yeah,
Left 4 Dead? I'm just watching a
yeah,
trailer
yeah.
now.
It's literally like if you've played that, you've played this. But yeah, this is just like obviously got it's in third person instead of first person. But yeah, a lot of fun. Me and my cousin, we both got it, and we had a bunch of fun on it. And their actual the developers are keeping it alive as well. They've just released an update which gives two more single player chapters and a bunch more multiplayer maps and new weapons like the flamethrower. They've only just introduced a flamethrower in a zombie game.
That's
So,
their time.
Like I watched the trailer for their it's called the Purge update, which is fitting because it's got a flamethrower in it. And I watched it. I'm just like, this is how you reward the player base for buying your game. Is just give them more stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just really good.
I'm watching it now. Like it plays and looks a lot better than I would have expected, given everything we've just talked about. It looks like, and I mean this as a compliment, it looks like a smart. We'll use the Left 4 Dead template without ripping it off too much. I quite like the look of it, man. Yeah, I think it looks quite good.
Get some friends together and play it. It's really fun.
Yeah, I miss Left 4 Dead. Everyone's getting excited about that Half-Life 3 announcement, the Half-Life VR one. I was like, I want Left 4 Dead. That's what I want. The original Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, but the original Left 4 Dead just for the innovation that it brought is a masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece. We're talking about remasters and bringing stuff back. Bring that back. Absolute genius. I've also got Super Mario Maker 2 on my list. That technically would be number 6 if we're doing this the right way. Now, Super Mario Maker is one of those games that didn't actually ever need a sequel. They probably should have just treated the original one like Netflix and just continued to add to it. Like you just said, reward the fan base. But that's not what Nintendo do. We're well aware of this. And credit where credit is due. I've sat down and played that game a lot with a couple of my friends. Got a couple of sort of young kids that have just got into games, especially Nintendo. And when you see how creative they can be, and they don't know Mario from Adam because they're young kids. They don't know about Super Mario World or Super Mario Bros. 3 or anything like that. And to see them kind of interact with it the same way I did when I was a kid, and then to take that knowledge and apply it. And make their own levels. It really is something special. Like, it truly is. I mean, there's a bit of cynicism there, like I say, because, it's kind of just been released to get it on the Switch and make more money when I'm sure they could have come up with something different. But that aside, so it's just that, we already talked about it. It's that classic Nintendo thing where it's accessible to adults, it's accessible to kids. Anybody can get on board with it. And some of the, the monstrosities that you can create are horrendous, and trying to play through them will kick your ass. But some of the more ingenious ones are just fun and will put a smile on your face. It's, again, if Nintendo played their cards right with this, it could be something that just continues to evolve with whatever consoles come next as we go. It's masterful. Like, it really, really is. I'm never one for, it's much like Little Big Planet, I was never much for actually creating my own stuff. I preferred playing other people's creations, but I'm still so impressed with the tech and the tools they have here. If you do have a Switch, you get one for Christmas and you like the idea of it, get Super Mario Maker 2 and you'll definitely be impressed. No question.
I don't have a Switch, so.
Why don't you have a Switch, man? What is going on?
I used to have.
Switch is the best.
I used to have a Switch, but I just didn't. There was really nothing aside from the Nintendo games that really kind of piqued my interest. And then,
no, that's fair.
Whenever a new game came out, and I kind of like, oh yeah, I kind of want a portable version. It used to be a lot more money than what I could get on PS4. So.
Yeah, no, it's hard to justify.
I ended up just going. It ended up basically just sitting there, and I wasn't using it. So I was like, well, I might as well just sell it because I'm not using it. So.
No, that's fair. I mean, literally, the Nintendo games hold their value. Like my mate's kids we just talked about, they're well into Farming Simulator now. I don't know why, but they're well into Farming Simulator. I went to buy it on Switch, and it's 40 quid. It's like 20 quid everywhere else because that's what Nintendo games do. They just hold on to their value. Do you have another game, or I can just keep running through mine?
I do. I'm cheating. I'm on like a list of games that come out this year just to refresh my memory.
Nah, you got to do it, man. There's too many. Yeah. Too many. Hit me with one.
Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Right, I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't get around to playing it, and I like those games. But I heard from somebody, and this is a long time ago, who said that it kind of felt like, and I think it was just meant to be a stopgap, but they said it felt too much like a stopgap, and it didn't feel like a proper Wolfenstein game. But I'd love for you to tell me that they're wrong, because I love those games.
See, this is the thing, right? That's what I'm liking about the Wolfenstein series right now, because you had the New Order, which is a mainline game. Then you had the Old Blood, which was kind of an in-between game. Then you had New Colossus, which was a mainline game. Now you've got Youngblood, which is a in-between game. Like I like that they're still feeding us new Wolfenstein games, but be it mainline, a short experience, mainline, short experience. I quite like that because I just want more Wolfenstein because I love the Wolfenstein games. So, yeah, I really like. By the time I finished Youngblood, I thought that was a really fun game. I still think it's probably the weakest in the 4 games, but that's not saying much because I still loved it. There's some things they did change which I didn't like, where they changed it to a more chip away at their health bar to kill people. Do you know what I mean? Like Destiny does that, and Division does that. I don't like that much because I think it takes away the urgency of just blowing someone away. Like, for instance, we talk about Doom 2016, for instance. You just go crazy and just kill everything that moves. But in this game, you've got to, like, shoot away. Okay, chip in there. That took it... When I first started the game, that kind of took me by surprise. I kind of went in blind because that's what I do with some games like that. And that kind of took me away from it. But once you get over that hurdle, I really enjoyed it. It's just over-the-top, silly, violent. The 2 characters... I quite like the 2 girl characters. I thought they were just really vulgar and funny, but that's maybe my humour, maybe. But yeah, I just thought it was a really fun little game. I think it took me about maybe 5-6 hours to beat. Yeah.
Man, this sounds perfect
really
to me.
fun.
I agree with you. I much prefer the Doom approach. You know, the Doom 2016 has taught me that I want my first person shooters to be manic.
Yeah.
That's really high on my list. But everything you've just said to me, 5 hours, a more refined experience, playing off the other ones, but not overstaying its welcome. That is what I'm desperate to have. I'm desperate to have more of that now. You know, I like Ghost Recon, for example, is a franchise I used to love, and I know the 2 they've released have done well. But these massive open worlds are just too much for me these days. I want more. I want shorter, more linear games. That's what I want. That's what I've gone back to. You know, right or wrong, that's what I like.
I can write you a list of all these massive games that I've just skipped because they're open world. Like, I've not played Horizon Zero Dawn because it's open world. I played a little bit of the Outer Worlds, and it wasn't for me, so I stopped playing it. There's just so many games that I prefer I think I was on this podcast like in January. That's how long it's been. Bloody hell. Where's the shear gone, man? Fuck.
Don't start with me, man. I'm terrified. Just build my grade now. I'm in trouble. I'll be dead soon.
Anyway, I do find myself just gravitating to those focused A to B, linear, story-driven experiences.
Yeah, me too. It's just the way the world works. And I'm hoping the industry swings that way as well. But, you know, you can never account for these things. Next on my list is, well, it would have been a Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. But going on from that, which is number 4 technically, it's nothing original. It's nothing exciting. I know they just do the same thing over and over again, but I don't care because I love Mortal Kombat. And I love MK11. Again, there's nothing even I can say about it. All the old things are back. They've made a few tweaks here and there. Obviously brought back some new characters. I love the story mode they do for their single player. I think more fighting games could incorporate that and just have fun with it. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Yes, the fatalities are gruesome and over the top, and if you show them to anybody that doesn't get games, they will be appalled. But I just love it. I love what NetherRealm does. I get these games are just so much fun. And in a world where I need more fighting games, because that's something else that I've gone back to too, I just find that Mortal Kombat continually delivers. And they've been doing that ever since they relaunched it, 3-4 years ago. There just hasn't been a bad one. And if I've got 5-10 minutes to spare, kind of what we were just talking about, I'm like, oh man, I'll just do a couple of fights on Mortal Kombat. It's got some good depth there. The online stuff is okay, but again, I'm more into same couch multiplayer when we're talking about beat-em-ups. It is great. It is really good. It looks great. It ticks all the boxes. I just need a new Street Fighter now, and I don't think I'm going to get it for a while, which makes me sad. But yeah, MK11 is top stuff.
Yeah, I've not played it. Fighting game.
Well, you have, you see, because it's like every other fighting game I've ever played.
Yeah, all right.
It does nothing new. So what are you going to say about fighting games?
Well, like back when I was a young kid with the PlayStation, the Dreamcast, and whatnot, back in that kind of the second half of the 90s when I was a kid, that was my jam, was fighting games. Tekken 3, Soul Calibur, Soul Blade, Soul Calibur 2, those kind of games. But I found as I've gotten older, I've stopped caring about fighting games. I feel this is just my opinion, but I just feel that for the £55, $60 mark, I don't think you get enough content for your money with fighting games, because that's all you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's all it is just you're fighting someone. I don't think there's enough depth there for me to put down my money to buy it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, dude. I think that's just determining on what your worth is, right?
Yeah.
And it's important to know that. Like I say, it goes the other way too. We're just talking about open world games, and you have these huge expansion open worlds. But if one of them actually drew everything back and gave me a 12-hour experience, I'd be more likely to buy that than I would something else. So, it works both ways. And I think you have to evolve in all walks of life, including gaming. So, no, dude, I completely get that. To me, it's just Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. I don't think I'd be playing Soul Calibur or Virtua Fighter if it's still around anymore. But, yeah, I mean, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, I just dig. I just love them. And I never get bored of them. They are my go-to injection adrenaline experiences. Dude, have you found another one?
I have. I totally forgot I played this game, and I've just remembered how much I loved it. It's called The Sinking City.
Dude, I don't even know what that is.
It is a Cthulhu cosmic horror game where you're a detective and you've got to like solve this whole. There's like this town. I forget its name. I haven't played it. I played it like back in May, I think. So I don't remember it completely. But there's this town. It's basically been flooded, so you got to go on a boat to like little like paddle boat to get around. And you got to just solve the mystery of what's happening with this town. Why people are going crazy. And murders are happening, and these strange creatures are popping up, and you just like people are wondering what's going on. You're this detective, and it's just so captivating. Where you're finding these new clues for something. You're like, oh, I can solve this part of the puzzle now. I'm going to go back to this person, give him this, and then he'll send me on something else to find something else. It's just they got this detective part of the game right, and it's just so captivating to be like. You've solved this now, and it opens up this new story beat or this new plot point. It's like, oh, shit's going down. Oh my god, like it's just, and it gets the whole Cthulhu mythos really right as well, where it's not a horror game, but it has that sense of dread throughout the whole game.
Yeah. I'm looking at it now. I love it. I mean, it's made by Frogwares, who make the Sherlock Holmes games. I thought that straight away. I thought it has to be made by the same people. Well, it's just the way that they have one engine that they use. But no, dude, this looks awesome to me. I love games like this. It's almost like a throwback, isn't it, to sort of games from the past?
Yeah, it's very janky though. It's one of those games where if you can look past the kind of rough edges, it has something really, really special inside it. And I just really think it's a really, really, really fun game.
Yeah, no, dude, I like this. I may look into this. I bet you can get it dirt cheap as well. I love stuff like this. Just slow-paced. Yeah, focusing on that whole detective thing. We don't have enough detective games. We really, really don't. I'd take more. All you got is Professor Layton. That's not a real detective game. That's just some crazy guy with some kids solving puzzles. I like the look of this, man. It's a really good show.
There was LA Noire. That's a detective game, right?
That's brilliant as well.
Yeah.
I gave that a 10. Everyone got mad at me. I love that game. And it had its problems, but again, I just love a good detective story, and they were able to get that into a game so well.
See, like LA Noire was so good. My sister, who doesn't play games, played it and beat it. So it just tells you that.
I bet. Like I used to play it with my ex-girlfriend, my girlfriend at the time, I should say. And she wasn't into games, but she just loved sitting me and watching me play it because she was so engrossed by what was going on. That, man, Rockstar, they don't get it wrong. My number 3 is another remake, another remaster, whatever you want to call it. It's Link's Awakening on the Switch. It's massively biased by me.
Yeah.
I mean, Link's Awakening is one of my favorite games ever. The fact that they brought it back and did enough to it to make it feel a little bit different, like it didn't feel entirely like the original, just fantastic all around. I'd implore anyone that's kind of in this kind of stuff to try it out. It's just like I say, it's just fantastic. It's just everything I remembered about when I was a kid. Again, they've updated it enough so it doesn't feel too untoward. It's brilliant. There's nothing else I can say about it. It is brilliant. And if you've only experienced Breath of the Wild or even one of the more, tried and tested Zelda games, even this one will feel different. It always felt weird when it came back in the Game Boy in the early 90s or wherever it was. It always felt like it was made by a different team. It doesn't even feel like a Nintendo game. But to play it on the Switch, oh my gosh, I love it so much.
Yeah, as soon as that was announced, I was like, well, Simon's going to love that.
Oh, honestly, it's so good. It's so good. It's just, I mean, everyone gets mad at me because Breath of the Wild isn't really the direction I wanted to see Zelda go in personally, even though I massively respect it and know that it's an incredible experience. I was just so hooked on these old games, and this is why I love it so much. I'm too drowning in nostalgia when it comes to Zelda. That's the problem. I love it too much. It's like a child, right? It grows up and goes to university. You know that it's important, but you don't want it to happen. And that's what happened to me with this. But Link's Awakening is excellent. Put a smile on my face. Maybe want to cry a little bit. Have you got another one, man?
Not really. I'm struggling.
That's all right, dude. I'll throw in mine, and you can tell me. Hopefully, you played one of them, because my number 2 is Luigi's Mansion 3, which you won't play because you don't have a Switch. Now, the reason I love Luigi's Mansion 3 so much, again, have you played any of the Luigi's Mansions going all the way back to the GameCube?
I played the first one, yeah.
What did you
I
think
really
of it?
liked it.
Yeah. Now the crazy thing is that you could play number 3 today, and you'd almost it was part of the same franchise because there's similar tropes there. But they evolve these games so much, and that was the same for the one they released on I think it was the 3DS. It's almost like in name they make the right steps forward, but they have so much fun with it. This one is far more in depth and far more intricate than the other ones were. It really does feel. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it really does feel like they're now treating these with the same respect and love they would a sort of a core Mario game. It's almost like Luigi now has his own world. He has his own gameplay mechanics, and they just want to keep finding interesting ways to make that work. It is so good. It is so good, and I don't know how they've done it. Like, I don't know how they've done it. It's never a series, especially when it came out on the GameCube originally, like 2001 or whatever it was, that I ever thought would make it to 2019, with only having 2 iterations in between them, but would make such grand steps forward. And it's a platformer, it's an action game, it's a shooter. There's a little bit of scary horror in there. I mean, it's nothing too bad. Your kids can play it, you can play it. It is the quintessential Nintendo game, but also kind of mucks around with that formula. I'm so surprised by it. It's so good, so good. You can't because you haven't got the console, but if you ever get one back, you should try and play it, my friend.
I was thinking about getting the smaller light Nintendo.
Yeah, a lot of people get excited about that as well. I know it kind of defeats the object of what the Switch is, but it looks awesome. It looks really, really good.
I found a game that I forgot came out. It technically is a remaster, so it doesn't really count for this year.
That's fine, man.
It's Onimusha Warlords remastered it's a re-release, I think.
That's a great shout, man. I haven't played the remaster, but Onimusha in general is awesome.
I tell you, like Onimusha, the original Onimusha trilogy is my favorite Capcom property.
Wow, dude, big words.
When they're done with Resident Evil for now, I'm just like, bring that back, please, Capcom. Like,
why
not?
Like
Onimusha 3. Demon Siege is probably one of the best games on the PS2, period, in my mind. Like, that game is just... They probably can't bring back the French dude. I forget his name. You know who he is? Jean Reno. Is that his name, Jean Reno?
I think so. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but that game is just fantastic from start to finish. This remaster is... I can't really fault them, really. It's just a really... just upscaled remaster. It plays the same as it did back in the day, and I still love it.
They were good games, though, weren't they? They were really, really fun action adventure games. We've kind of hack and slash, I guess you could say, and we've kind of moved away from that, right?
Yeah.
You don't get many hack and slash games anymore. I mean, God of War, I guess, but even that doesn't. It's just. But it's not as simple as that, is it? I miss the simplicity of maybe the original God of War games, for example. I know it had more depth to it, and I did like the God of War remaster, but. Not remaster, the sort of revamping, whatever you want to call it. But sometimes the simple things are the best. That's what I'm trying to say.
I have a question. I know you don't like the Dark Souls-esque games. Hate would be the word you use, but anyway. Did you play Neo at all? Not that you would want to.
Actually, you know what? I think I did. What was the subtitle?
It was just Neo. That Nioh.
I think I played it. It came out a while ago, didn't it?
Yeah, like 2017 question.
I think I played this.
It was by Koei Tecmo.
I think I played this at Video Gamer. I think we did it because everyone said, "Oh, Miller, it's going to be like Dark Souls, so you've got to play it." And I remember thinking it was slightly better, but I still hated it. Yeah, I do think I played it. Why? Why do you mention it?
That's my favorite Dark Souls-esque game.
Oh, I see. Right.
But I tell you this, right. If you take the cover out of that game and remove the Neo logo and put the Onimusha logo, people would buy it. It's an Onimusha game at heart.
So true, man. So true. I'm looking at it now. It looks so much like that.
If they remade Onimusha, they just got to take that template and just apply it, because I think it'd be amazing.
I'm looking at it now. I think I have played something like this. I can't remember.
It's a samurai Dark Souls game.
Yeah, that's why I can't wait for what's the game coming out? Swords of
Ghost of Tsushima.
That's the one. Yeah, I'm so up for that. So up for that, man. I just pumped. Everyone seems to hate it. I'm ready. And my number one game for 2019 will surprise no one. It's Gears 5. Actually, there is some shock there. I didn't necessarily like Gears 4. I didn't think it was a bad game, but I think it just wasn't. I don't know, there was just something about it that was missing, but I think they learned from that. And Gears 5 is easily one of the best ones, maybe better than Gears 3 in many ways. I have to actually sit down and think about that properly. But they found a way to make the new characters work. You know, there's no surprise with Marcus Phoenix. He's there from the day one. They've really kind of gone back to that old pop and stop gameplay that everybody loved. And they've also added in new elements so that it feels like, once again, that it feels modern, doesn't feel like a throwback. Have you played Gears 5, man, or any sort of recent Gears?
I haven't. I don't have an Xbox.
All right,
Really playing my PC anymore like I used to. I actually really liked Gears 4. Actually, I ended up playing it in like one sitting, like 1 9-hour sitting. I played through the whole game.
Wow, man, fair enough, dude.
It got his hooks in me, so that's what I'm like when the games get their hooks. I don't want to put it down.
Hell yeah, man! That's the beauty of games, right? Yeah. That's what they do.
It's really bad for my eyes. But, you know.
But no, I just felt like this was the right step to take, the right direction to go with Gears. I'm a massive Gears fanboy, as everybody knows. I don't try to hide it. But Gears 4 I enjoyed, but I was just like, nah, maybe not. But then, yeah, this one I just felt like it's gone right back on track, and the multiplayer is fantastic too. I can't get enough of that. I still jump on here. So yeah,
sorry. Do you still get the sawn off shotgun dudes that just hang around corners and go "Gah!" and just?
They know that's never going to go away. They do their best to try and nerf it, and they do a good job, to be fair. And there's certainly modes that you can jump into if you just can't stand it. But I think the reality of it is that the fans love that. They can pretend otherwise, but the fans love it, and they're just like, you know what? Just embrace it. And you should embrace it. You don't have to play that mode, don't have to play that game. And look, let's be honest. When you do get a sawn-off shotgun kill, you feel absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that Nasher, man, is a good weapon. Right?
Like, people complain about it, but we all do it. Like, I did it. I didn't care. Like, I was getting kills.
Yeah. Well, it is annoying, but no, I'm totally with you. So, yeah, there's just some games to sum up the year. What we will talk about before we wrap this up, because we would be remiss if we didn't, is, of course, 2K announced Cloud Chamber, a brand new studio, and they are working on a new BioShock game. Now, dude, are you like everybody else that you're into BioShock? Because some people really hate it. Like, what's your opinion on the series?
The first BioShock is one of my favourite games of all time.
Yep.
BioShock 2 was a decent, if flawed, follow-up.
Agreed.
And Infinite was for me a bit of a disappointment. But people would, I expect hate comments, down below and whatnot.
No, I think Infinite, to me, I loved it, right? I played it alongside the remake of Tomb Raider, and for some reason those two games, playing them side by side, just worked for me, and I have really good memories when I look back. But the problem I have with Infinite is I think it tried to be too smart for its own good. You know what I mean? I got a bit lost with the story and the narrative, and I think the beauty of the first one is that it is just so well realized and so simple, although complicated at the same time. Whereas Infinite felt a bit like, yeah, we're gonna try and do all this crazy stuff. What do you want from a new one though? Obviously, we know nothing. It's not going to be out for a good few years. I think the studio's only been formed recently. There's all these rumors that it's going to be on the moon. I mean, maybe it's going to be on the moon, but I don't even know, because BioShock, you could argue, is one of those games that didn't even need anything like this. It didn't need a sequel. It could have just won and done it and then moved on.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, I kind of feel like, no matter where they set it, you're going to get people that are upset, because like we've been underwater twice. We've been in the clouds. So like if we go back to the clouds, people that want to go back to Rapture will be upset, and if we go back to Rapture, people will be like, we've already done this twice, and they'll be upset again. So I don't know. I wouldn't know. I just love the whole plasmid mechanic. You inject yourself and you've got your gun or you've got your crowbar, whatever. And I just love the whole 1-2 punch combat system. I think it's fantastic. And the first game, I don't really call it a horror game, but some people do. And I can understand why. It has got that kind of like creepy kind of vibe to it. But I think it all depends how they handle their story. And that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't really like Infinite, because the story, like you said, was a bit overblown and tried to be like super intricate and smart, and then the harken back to little sound clips from the first game, where so you makes you want to go back to the first game and find exactly where that sound came from and try to entwine the two, and it's like it's too much for my brain, man. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know, like it could be any number of things, right?
I mean, it really could. That's the thing with Bioshock, isn't it? They can go in whatever they can go whatever direction they want, and you'd be like, okay, it's just Bioshock. I am glad that it's coming back. I do like it, and I think they could absolutely smash it if they come up with a really cool idea. But yeah, it's important that we mention these things. Although yes, at the moment we just don't know. We don't know what direction it's going to be going in. People are speculating. People are very excited. And before I let you go, because again, you mentioned it wasn't until January and before. January is just around the corner. Do you have some games you're really pumped about in 2020?
Last of Us Part 2 is a given.
Yep, that's on my list as well. Yeah, Doom Eternal's on mine as well.
Doom Eternal, yeah, 100%. Resident.
What do you? What? So
Resident
go on, man.
3,
Resident 3.
Yeah. And I need to look it up now because I can't remember.
What about Cyberpunk? Because I'm one of these people that it has not sunk its claws into me whatsoever, and I'm really happy that people are so excited about it. But I watch the videos and I read about it. I'm like, at the moment, it looks good, but I'm not massively, I'm not overly excited about it or anything like that.
Well, between you and me and probably the 100,000 subscribers that you've got listening to this now, I have not played Witcher 3, so I don't really have an affinity to CD Projekt Red. So
that's fine, man. I don't get Witcher 3 either. I'll be killed. I'm not saying it's not bad. It's an amazing game. Again, it just doesn't sink its claws into me, and I can't tell you
the
why.
problem I have is I've not even played it, but it's on my PS4 hard drive. It's been on there for about 2 years, and it just intimidates me. It's so massive. I've got the Game of the Year edition, so it's got the bloody DLC, which might as well be another bloody game. I'm just like, I don't have the second life to play you. I don't.
That's hard. That's the problem. Dude, you should be excited. Neo 2 comes out in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go. You can get excited about that.
Yeah. Forgot that was coming out.
And, yeah, there you go. Now you know. And obviously, Final Fantasy VII Remake, again, it's not my thing, but people are going to be excited about it. I'm intrigued to see what 2K does with... Not 2K, it's Square Enix is making the Marvels game, aren't they?
Yeah, Avengers. Yeah.
That's right, Avengers, yeah, sorry. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with that. Halo Infinite, I'm kind of done and dusted with Halo, but I'll always take a peek to
Halo's always I've always got a soft spot for Halo.
Yeah, me too. And if they do something different, I'll definitely give it a go to see if it can truly get me back in. It's just the law of diminishing returns. It's been along for so long now. I just stopped playing it.
I've got one more game to mention that I played this year.
Yes, do it, man. End it on a big one.
It came out in 2015, so it's quite old. It got absolutely destroyed in reviews. Everyone hates it, but I played it and I really enjoyed it. It's the Technomancer by a developer called Spiders.
I think I loved that game. How do you spell it?
TECH.
Oh, no, this is not the game I was thinking about at all. I was thinking about something else. Right, dude, this looks even weirder. What the hell is this? I've never heard it. I thought it was something else entirely. What is this?
It's like basically a sci-fi game set on Mars. What games do that? Not many. It's a nice that it's set on Mars, and you're this kind of like space wizard dude who gets caught up in all this like conspiracy and government drama, and you've got to go and do stuff, and it's an RPG. It kind of takes elements from like Dragon Age and Mass Effect, and it kind of feels like it's like a poor man's version of those games and stuff like that. But I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. And do you know what's crazy? The craziest thing about this game, when I beat it, and I said to my cousin, because we talk about games all the time, I said, do you know what would make this game even better? He's like, what's that? I said, if it had the Star Wars license, it would be amazing. And guess what? We got Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is Technomancer with the Star Wars license, and it's the best thing ever. So yeah.
See, there you go, man. The power of licenses. Never ever forget, people. The power of a license is pretty damn strong. It gives you funny feelings deep down in your stomach. And on that note, we will start to wrap things up. I will say, if you've enjoyed, I believe this is true. I may be wrong, but Jason, you have your own podcast as well, right? That people can check you out.
Yes, I do have a podcast called Podcast in Stone. We're on hiatus at the moment until the new year, but if you want to check it out, you can check it out. YouTube.com, Podcast in Stone. It is kind of a niche one. We talk exclusively about a heavy metal band called Iced Earth, and the related bands surrounding that band. So if you're a fan of heavy metal or that band Ice Earth in particular, we've had interviews with all the major players in that band. So come and check it out. Maybe you'll stick around and enjoy what you hear.
And you should check it out, especially because in February, Demons and Wizards, and everybody know what I'm talking about now, is actually finally releasing an album after, 8 years? Whatever
14 years.
14 years, yeah, there you go. And that's how I found out about Iced Earth. I found that original Demons and Wizards album. I was like, this is brilliant. And then I learned about the very, very strange story with Iced Earth and everything else and Blind Guardian. You're like, oh, my gosh. So, yeah, if you're into that stuff, check it out. It really is quite good. And also, people don't talk about that band enough. So it's good that my man Jason is doing it. Jason, dude, thank you so much for your time, man. I really enjoyed it. That was good.
Appreciate it.
I hope you had a good 2019 year of gaming, and I hope you have a good 2021 as well.
Yeah, new consoles, man. New consoles coming out.
I tell you, man, that's right. You can get an Xbox One S with 3 games of them over 120 quid. Now, I know they're only doing that because the tech is old and new ones are coming out, but my word, I did not pay that for mine. So it's like, if you want one, it's out there right now, 120 quid. And same with the PS4 as well. They are cheap. Well, not cheap, cheaper than they were. But in the meantime, yeah, make sure you give us a subscribe. It's on YouTube as well. Check it out. Just search for Simon Miller. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at SimonMiller316. Again, you can come on the podcast and a bunch of other stuff too. Or you can just support. I'm a freelancer by trade, and that's how I make this stuff happen. Just patreon.com/Simon Miller316. And as the holiday season, if you want the funniest, stupidest present ever, you can get some wrestling merchandise of mine at simonmiller.bigcartel.com. In the meantime, if we don't do another one before Christmas, have a great Christmas. Enjoy the break. It's the best time to play video games. I will absolutely be playing Ocarina of Time as I do every 12 months because I'm a massive geek. I'm a massive loser, but that game makes me happy. Find the game that makes you happy, and we will speak to you again very soon.